All right, so for this lesson, this is chapter 1, lesson 1. We're focusing on variables and expressions. So as we go through these examples, you're going to need to write down these notes as we've seen in the information you were already given. So this is just an introductory slide. So we see that today we're going to be talking about operations on integers and evaluating that moving forward. We're going to be working on verbal expressions for algebraic expressions. And we're going to learn how to write equations in words as well. So a few vocabulary words for today. We've got algebraic expression, variable, term, and factor. Of course, you know product, power, and exponent whenever there's a little number over your variable. So this is example 1. You see that in green at the top, and the red A in all caps tells you this is example 1A. So in your notes, you're going to need to have example 1 and also the letter A. So this is example 1A in your notes. You're going to write the question in blue. Write a verbal expression for 8x squared. So if we need to pause the video at this point, you definitely need to write that part down in your notes. Now that we have that, we're going to take our 8x squared. We want to write that in words, right? We want to say that instead of in a formula, but how would we say that in words? That's all we're doing here. Transforming the letters into words. So if we could say that in words, we would just say it's 8 times some number x taken to the power of 2. Now in math, anytime you say take to the power of 2, another way to say that is to just say squared. So in words, that formula here can be said to be 8 times the variable x squared. That's it. Of course, you're going to want to write that answer down in your notes, and that's all you need to write for example 1A. Moving on to example 1B, noted by the letter B here, and example 1 here. So 1B, verbal expression for this whole thing here. We want to say, how could we say this in words? Well, we know we're talking about the variable y, and subtraction tells us the difference between these two things. So we know that in words, this is the difference of some variable y to the 5th power, we see that here, and 16 times our variable y. So the whole thing in words is the difference of y to the 5th power and 16 times y, which we see there. This is your solution to example 1b. Please be sure to write down example 1b. Here's your question in blue. Copy that word for word and copy down your answer here. So as you're doing that, just keep in mind all we're doing here is taking the variable letters, putting them into a verbal expression. How would you say that in words? And this is not too difficult, but we also need to remember we can go back and forth. So given the words, could we then write the variable expression? And of course we could, it's just working the other direction. So keep these operation rules in mind. So we know addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. We use those all the time. Just key phrases to remember. Of course, these are in your book in section 1.1. We know that more than, sum, plus, increased by, and added to are all different ways of saying we want to add to something. We want to use addition. Words for subtraction, words like less than and the difference, remind us that we want to subtract something away. So keep those in mind. Common things we use for multiplication, you're going to see product a lot, and of course we know that. A more subtle one is the word of. So if we said half of 8 is 4, well 1/2 times 8 is 4. We're multiplying there. So of means multiply, and the most common phrase we'll see for division is a quotient. So keep those in mind. They're in your book to help you review. You don't need to write these down for today. This is all very easy stuff. Moving on to example 2. Example 2A. 2A. Write this down. We want to write an algebraic expression for 5 less than a number C. So let's think about what's happening here. 5 less than, we just said less than is a common phrase, which is going to mean subtraction in this case. So 5 less than, we're going to subtract between 5 and some number C. Now a number C is just that. We don't know what it is. It's just going to be represented by this letter C. So to write this in a phrase, or we're given the phrase, to write this in an equation, we know it's a number C, the variable, less than 5. So C minus 5 is how we get from our phrase to our variable expression. So you're going to need to write down what's in blue, and of course your solution here, C minus 5. Now we want to move to example 2b. We've got an algebraic expression for 9 plus the product of 2 and d. So let's break this down. 9 plus, so plus tells me we're going to be adding. So right away I know plus tells me we're going to add. The product, we know product we said means multiply. So multiplying the number 2 and the letter D. So let's break all that down. So since we said 9 plus, the product of, here we're going to multiply the two things given, 2 and the letter D. So our expression is written here, 9 plus 2D. So of course you're going to write what's in blue, and your solution is 9 plus 2D. This is example 2B in your notes. This is going to be graded next Friday, so please write this down. Give yourself a head start in getting full points for your first notebook grade. Moving on to example 2C. A little bit different. We want to write this algebraic expression given 2/5 of the area A. So we know in this case they're saying the area is the letter A, but it's not really important to know that A means area. A is just a variable. That's all we have to know. So 2/5 of some variable A. How do we write that in an expression? Well, we know of means multiply. So we're going to multiply 2/5, which is a fraction, times the variable A. So our answer is just 2/5 times A. Or we could also bring that A up top and have the expression written a little bit neater. But of course, this is what most people probably intuitively got. And of course, these are both the same. So we'll go ahead and write down 2/5 A as our solution. This is example 2C in your notes. Going forward, I'm not going to remind you what the examples are. They're right in front of you. And of course, you should be getting the hang of that by now. So as we progress to lessons and lessons in future days, these examples will be here for you, and you'll just know what to write. So moving forward, we have a real world example. This is just example 3 since there's no A, B, or C designation, just example 3. So we have a word problem. A lot of these real world problems you're going to see are going to be paragraphs that we have to read. So Mr. Nehru bought 2 adult tickets and 3 student tickets for the planetarium show. So right away I see 2 adult tickets, 3 student tickets. Those numbers are going to be important. We want to write an algebraic expression that represents the cost of the tickets. So we're given a bunch of words. We need to write some kind of algebraic expression that tells us the cost of the tickets. So let's circle what's important. So we've got 2 adult, that's important, 2 adult, and 3 student tickets. 2 and 3 for the planetarium. Write an algebraic expression that represents the cost of the tickets. So this is what we want to find. What is the cost of the tickets? Well, I know that my cost should be the ending part of this equation. That's what we want to find. And it will be equal to all of this cost added together. So how many did we buy? We bought 2 adult tickets. And we also bought 3 student tickets. Now, if you're thinking something's missing in this equation, you're exactly right. We have the numbers 2 and 3, but what do these numbers mean? We bought 2 of what? Bananas, oranges. What did we buy? Well, the 2 is adult tickets. So adult tickets we can represent with the letter A to make it easy. So 2 adult tickets plus we also bought 3 student tickets. So this is a student ticket is different from an adult ticket. It's probably cheaper. So let's go ahead and represent this student ticket by the letter S, just to make it easy. And now we have an expression. We know the total cost is equal to 2 times the price of an adult ticket plus 3 times the price of a student ticket. And that's our final algebraic equation. Pretty simple. Of course, you need to write down the paragraph and the final answer, which is 2a plus 3c. The authors of your book chose to use C to represent student tickets. Any letter is fine there. So 2a plus 3c or 2a plus 3s like I did. As long as you're getting the 2 different variables and the right numbers attached to them, that is what we're looking for. So your assignment for today will be written on the board. As soon as you finish writing down your notes, please go ahead and get started with that. We're going to work independently and silently. So independently meaning by yourself, silently meaning no talking. If you need help, please raise your hand and talk to me. Other than that, let's all get started.